Welcome back to the channel, Crypto Trend Trader here. Today we're going to be taking a look at Bitcoin, but before we get started, I'd like to remind you this is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile, so please do your own research and trade responsibly. Alright, so here we got the Bitcoin chart. I'm looking at the stamp, and essentially we basically, just like we had said, we were testing up on that same resistance line that had been smacking us down, this red guy right here. And of course, as soon as we moved up to it, it did what it does best. Rejected us, consolidated, dumped, and now we dumped straight back down to a lower low than that previous swing. So now, since the if you're going to say this is the swing, obviously that's the low so far. So we got the swing low, then we put in a high, then we put in a higher low, but now we took out that low. So we failed to put in a high here, and now we put in a lower low. So that indicates to the market that we basically rejected higher prices. And most likely things going to happen is, we get continuation to the downside. Now, in a lot of cases, when you see a situation like this, when price comes down to the exact same spot like twice in a row, and then comes down again but goes lower, a lot of times that'll be a spring. And what they're doing is, people will set their, manage risk off of this low right here. And then when it comes back down here again, they're managing risk off it again. So then when this gets like forced down here to a new low after these two, like essentially like double bottom lows, a lot of times they'll hit the stop losses, fake people out, that price is going to fall down out of here and go lower, and then they'll use that momentum to basically squeeze out all the shorts and get like a liquidation, big push up. So again here, if you're not in a trade, it's not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor, but if I was gonna manage risk off this area, I mean, it looked like a 28%, potential move to the upside versus like 8% to the downside. To just if we just stay in this channel and everything else aside, we've been in this channel. Most likely thing that's gonna happen is we're gonna stay in this channel. So at this point in time, it's essentially like 4-to-1 risk reward to the upside. But we're in a consistent downtrend. We're getting smashed down by this consistent like descending triangle, like resistance that's essentially forming right here. So what's most likely to happen here? We're most likely like this downsloping resistance line, is most likely going to push us down again. Where does it lead though? I don't know. Maybe down to this this big green circle, 6,000 range. We touch the bottom of the channel, and then we get the move up there. I mean, maybe here, maybe it breaks right here, but looking at this, this shape and this triangle and everything, like I would say that it's more likely at this point in time that it's not going to break. We could easily fill it out for another, till the end of the year. We could easily fill it out for a few more weeks, finish out the year, and then potentially get our move. But a move inside of this range is much less important. That's not going to change anything. If we get the break out of this right here and start moving up in the channel, that's potentially like, oh, trend reversal. People get excited. There's momentum. Right now the most likely thing to happen is what's been happening. We're in this descending channel. We're getting pushed down by this descending trend line inside the channel, and the most likely thing to happen is that it'll continue to happen. So more than likely we'll stay inside the channel. We'll stay below this red line. So what does that tell us? That tells us that most likely we're gonna stay in this zone right here, this little part of the triangle right here, and we're gonna fill that out, for the next few weeks, possibly month, and then at the end of the year, beginning of next year, we could potentially see a move. But most likely, I mean, thinking about this as far as cycles are concerned, we finish out the end of the year right down here. Everybody puts in the books, the year's over, and then boom, we start potentially moving to the upside again. First quarter, we could get that big move and then start the year off, 20-something% up, whatever. People get bullish, creates liquidity in the market, and then boom, push the price right back down, continue to fill out what is essentially this gigantic triangle right here. Nothing really has to change. So until it changes, nothing changes. You know what I mean? So like we always say, we're just going to stay on the right side of the trades, and they'll take entries when they present themselves. But at this point in time, the way this situation is set up, the potential to the upside is much greater than it is to the downside, inside of this channel. It's a 4-to-1 trade. But does that mean that you want to take that trade? Not necessarily. Is it still a good potential trade to take? Yeah, it actually is. It's 4-to-1. 4-to-1 is a pretty good trade. And, your bias and the bias of the trend, is important. There's a reason you have that bias. But at the same time, risk reward. If somebody gave me a coin, and said flip this, I'll give you 4-to-1 odds. Call it in the air. Again, this is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor, but in my situation, the way I'm looking at this is if it was the other way around, if it was 4-to-1 potential to the downside, I'd take that trade. But am I looking to take a 4-to-1 reversal trade? No, because what could happen is you take the trade and then it just gets it breaks out and just gets rejected because some whale just wants to get out of their position and it makes it like up to the heart line here, which is still not bad. It's like 7-8% trade, whatever, but that changes everything. If you get the 7% trade and then it sells off, that's a 1-to-1. You know what I mean? So a 1-to-1 is not worth taking on a reversal. You know what I mean? But you could potentially get the free trade. You get to 1-to-1 trade right here. It moves up, it sells off, you get stopped out in profit, you make a little bit, or vice versa. It goes down here, sells off, you get stopped out. You know what I mean? But realistically, if it was the other way around, I'd take it for sure. If we were at the top of the channel right here again, and it's 4-to-1 to the downside, I'd take it for sure. Just like I've been doing. But I'm not going to take a short, in this range. And I closed my shorts out back here. So, at this point in time, this is just a consolidation. I've played a couple little swings inside of here. But, it's like we said, guys, we're patient. We're waiting for the perfect trade. We're waiting for the perfect setup. We're very close in this market to a massive, massive move. And if you're watching this video right now, you're in the market and you're paying attention. And, you're going to be one of the people that reaps the rewards, big time of this next move. I mean, this is life-changing, potential here to the up or downside. All you got to do is be looking because it's going to be very clear when the move happens with confirmation, and there's going to be a lot of follow-through in whichever direction it goes in. If we go to the downside, we're going to capitulate to the downside potentially. If we go to the upside, we're going to at least retest the highs. So, I mean, the percentages are there. This next trade is the type of trade you take, and then you can take the rest of the year off. And, that might be in January. So, the most important thing at this point in time is to pay attention and have a plan. And that way, when the big break does happen, you're positioned for it. Your capital is protected until then. And then, you can sit back and relax after that, guys. Because we're about to, one way or another, this trend is either going to continue to the downside in a powerful way, or it's going to reverse to the upside, at least temporarily, in a powerful way. But regardless, it's not going to happen in one candle. There might be a big one, and if you're not positioned ahead of time, you might miss a little action. But the trend is about to define itself sometime in the next, month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever. But sometime in the near future, we're going to have a long-term trend reveal itself clearly to those who are looking. And when it does, we're going to look it right in the eye and say, gotcha, bitch. That's it for tonight, guys. Crypto Trend Trader signing off.